Welcome back from the break, everyone. Thank you for joining me in this episode of Independent Thought. And my guest for this week is Leah, the host of the Take Up Space podcast and the founder of Champions of Discourse. Leah, welcome back to Independent Thought. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. It has been a little while here since I had you on the show, but I felt like whenever you and I just get together, we always find something to talk about. And right before we started having this particular conversation, we were talking about conspiracy theories. And so I
Yes.
kind of want to go down that rabbit hole a little bit and talk a little bit more about that, because it was also branching off another conversation that we were talking about as far as being a critical thinker. But before we get into that particular subject, when it comes to like conspiracy theories that people see online, like why do you think so many people get caught up in them?
Because people are always like, our brains are hardwired to find the why. We just want to know why things happen. Not necessarily what happened is more important to know the why. So if we can make things make sense, it gives us some semblance of control, right? So if we're like, oh, why did this happen? Well, if the deep state wants this, and then I have to do this, and it kind of gives them justification for their brand of self-control or entitlement, especially when it comes to people who are like, well, I have to carry because I need to protect myself. Well, are you trained to protect yourself? No, I just have a weapon because the deep state and QAnon and Pizzagate and all these other things and the Illuminati is coming for our children. They're Satanists. So if you can make up anything to make it make sense, you can honestly just do whatever it is that you want.
I mean, I feel like people just get caught up in the idea that there is this, I don't know, what's the best way to even describe it? I think people think that the government's a lot more organized than it actually is. Like I think when I talk to people about conspiracy theories, it always feels as though the people who are really caught up in them have this grand idea that people in the government have this massive plan that they're trying to orchestrate, and that it's all just a giant plot to eventually do X, Y, and Z. And I'm just like, these people are not that smart. Like, why do you think that they actually have a plan? Like, if you've like been paying attention to politics at all, I think it's pretty obvious these people have no plans other than trying to find a way to get paid. I think they're all a little
Exactly.
corrupt, but
Yes.
I mean, little is probably the wrong word there, but yeah, I just but with that being said, I mean, some conspiracy theories, I mean, they're all kind of entertaining. I think I always get a little caught up in the aliens ones, but that's just me.
The aliens one, the alien conspiracy theories are kind of fun. And because it kind of mixes in with the sci-fi, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like there's aliens, but now when we have like the lizard people conversation, and it's like, oh my gosh, they're planted among us. And I'm just like, yeah, but they're not paying my bills, so I don't really care. Like, what are you going to do if you meet a lizard person? What are you actually going to do?
I thought for a long time that there wasn't that many people who actually believed in lizard people, but then I saw how big of a following Alex Jones had.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I I went to
Oh.
school for psychology, right? And
Mhm.
I am always fascinated by why people think the way they think. 'Cause it probably also plays into how I, approach my podcast when I talk about
Yeah.
like why people are on the left or why they're on the right or why they believe in their values, so on and so forth. But I'm always really just whenever I hear about this, people are like, yeah, did you know that this is happening or this is happening, this is happening? My first thought is like, why do you think that's true? Like why do people go down these rabbit holes? And I don't know always. Like what do you think it is?
Hey, a lot of people do want to make sense of the crazy, but I think that there has to be at some level just an agreement that there are coincidences that happen, and there hasn't doesn't have to be some grand scheme. I think some people have bought into, like, people think that the government is like Marvel, right? Some grand 10-year plan to come up with these awesome episodic cinematic adventures. but it's really like this slumped together DC universe that's kind of like, oh, what are you gonna do? Reset the timeline? Sure, why not? Let's do it. We tried it before. Let's try it again. Bring in some old people. Well, it's fine. It'll be fine. It's kind of what it is.
Oh my God. I'm gonna have to use that analogy going forward. No, it's crazy to me. But I think, truthfully, if I'm trying to like take a step back and be a little serious about it for a second, I think that one thing that we do see in our society is that, time and time again, governments claim, well, people within the government, regardless of whether we're talking about the executive branch, legislative branch, so on and so forth, people make promises that they're going to do X, and then they end up never doing X.
Right.
And they always say that we're going to do these things to materially benefit your lives, and then what ends up happening is that never even kind of comes close to happening, and your life ends up getting worse than when it was before. And
Right.
so on one level, I do kind of understand why people are distrustful of the government. Like, that makes perfect sense. I think I've always just been a little skeptical about why they think that there's like this grand master plan like you were talking about. But I think that kind of ties into something else that we were talking about, which means like being like a critical consumer of information. I feel as though there's not really a whole lot of that all the time. It feels as though we're getting our information in real like bite-sized places. And so instead
Absolutely.
of taking the time to pick apart everything that's going on, we just kind of like take a quick little blurb and react to it more or less. Or what do you think? Do you think I'm a little off on that?
No, it's absolutely we are the rip from the headlines like world right now. So we only look at the headlines, and if the headlines read a certain way, then we automatically assume the story. You know what I mean? Like, thug gets caught in a car accident. It's like, oh, they set up this black man to take his organs. Wait, what? That's not even what how did you this just was the headline said. Did you read the story? So it's like people are, I don't, I really wish that more people would read and write more, honestly. And Jordan Peterson made this argument, and I wholeheartedly agree with it. People have to write so that they can understand what they think. And if they read and write consistently, even just writing 15 minutes a day, you can organize your thoughts in such a way to understand how you think, why you think, and where those things come from, so that you are making arguments for what you stand on. If you ask somebody, like if I were to ask you, you know, why did you wear that shirt today? You know what I mean? You're like, well, shoot, it's my favorite shirt. Like, I like wearing it. It's comfortable. It's this, is that. It's cool outside, whatever the case, right? But
Yeah.
some people are just like, oh, I didn't put much thought into what I did. Well, why did you go and hit that person? Why did you go and get this job? What direction are you going in your life? I'm not really, something on TikTok was like, hey, go to these jobs and see if they're hiring. You know what I mean? But there's no real thought behind what it is we do or why we do it, which is frustrating when I talk to some people and I'm just like, well, what do you expect, or what are you trying to get to? What is the ultimate goal? Oh,
Yeah, that's a question that I find myself asking not only myself but other people quite a bit. It's just, like, oh, like, well, what do you plan on doing? And there does seem to be some kind of like a disconnect there. I wonder if, people are just not engaging with thinking about things too deeply because I mean, who knows? It's a bunch of different reasons that can come to mind, but I think that, more or less what we're seeing in our society right now. And again, I think I've brought this up on another podcast before, but I think technology plays a huge role in this. When it comes to our cell phones, for instance, we've kind of like ingratiated them into our society like so fully now
right,
that we don't even like think about the detriment that comes with them. Like, for instance, you know, everyone's attention span seems to have plummeted and people are experiencing record highs of anxiety. And I think that a lot of people don't seem to correlate the fact that, when you're constantly on your cell phone and you have to give yourself that little dopamine hit just over and over and over and over again, your mind kind of gets trained to want only that. And so you don't really go into any kind of process in your everyday life that isn't quick and simple and fast and repetitive. And yeah, it can lead to a bunch of different negative outcomes, including not really thinking about things ever, because all you want to do is just get that quick contact, that quick line, that quick, reaction, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, and I wonder, and I just had this thought, I wonder if we did have to think deeply, like not even like, submarine deep, right? If we had to think past the 7-second video or the 30-second or 1 minute video that we saw to get a laugh or to go, ooh, that happened.
Yeah.
If we had to think more deeply and find that there was a real issue, like if there was a situation where this person's rights seemed to be impeded upon, right? Is there, if we think deeply about it, is there a call to action? Is there something that we don't want to do? So it's just easier for us to go, man, that's a shame. Well, not happening to me. Swipe. You know what I mean? How much of personal responsibility are we willing to take? When we're on our phones, we don't have to and we see it in trolls all the time.
Yeah.
They're these faceless, nameless people who create 30 different accounts just to put hate comments in somebody else's video who that may or may not be doing well, just to make people feel bad, right? Get some attention. But if we think deeply about like how it hurt, like when what is her name, Tabitha Brown, responded to Wendy Williams comments, and she didn't respond with hate or demeaning things. It was just like, how hurt you must be that you cannot recognize when other people are doing well and be happy for that person. You feel like it is your turn to tear that thing down or that group down.
You know, that's something that I want to ask you about, and it's probably slightly off topic, but kind of on point a little bit. When it comes to people being nasty online, I have always wondered like what leads people to do that, because I see stuff all the time online that drives me crazy. Like I
Yeah.
see someone saying some dumb shit. I see people posting things that I know are just not right for X, Y, and Z reason, but I'm not the kind of person where I always feel the need to engage. Like I'm just like, oh, that's dumb. And then I just keep scrolling. But some people, they see stuff and they got to go in there and they not only have to like correct it, but they have to insult, the person who it is, so on and so forth. Like, where do you think that comes from? And I'm going to stop really quickly and just say that I think the worst of this happens on Twitter. Twitter, clean your shit up. But
there are a lot of, TikTok is getting there though. TikTok is
yeah,
absolutely getting there with taking down people of color video, like the people of color who create videos, Black, Indigenous, and other people of color, when they create videos, calling out white supremacist behavior,
yeah.
their videos get taken down, but the video that they called out, nothing ever happens to it, right? So and we're seeing that a lot where people are getting, and then people end up getting doxxed and information is put out there. People are bullied, and it's so many things, right? But I feel like there's no, like I said, there's no accountability to be had. If this nameless, faceless person can get attention, even for 10 seconds, right? Like, oh, I'm responding to your comment because I need to check you. Thank you for the attention. I needed that. Like somebody called me out. Like I feel like a lot of times it's for attention. It's not even like Mrs. Kim on stage. She was self-conscious about putting out certain content. She put out a video and she said she'd been working on herself. Somebody posted, I didn't like your attitude, when she said this. She was like, oh, I didn't realize that I did that. Like this Mrs. Kim on stage, she's responding, I didn't realize that I did that. I'm so sorry. I'm going to try to do better. The person responded, she was like, girl, I was PMSing that day. I don't even know why I commented to you. Why I don't I think that a lot of people, because there is no accountability, people are not checking them. People especially in real life, because people confuse, like they blur the line between what's online, which isn't real, to what is in real life. And because they're not checked on a regular basis, like, what are you going to do? Come to my house? Oh, I'm going to call the police. Oh, like, they're not being checked. So they can say and do whatever, and they can make all the time in the world. That can be their business. Just like what's that cat's name? Jason, who's like some blogger who is, he just goes after people and like goes after people to spill the tea and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just
Oh,
like,
I have no
I
idea.
don't I don't understand why that's what, like, it's essentially being Wendy Williams
Yeah.
online. That's essentially what these trolls are doing in hopes of getting some kind of attention, because that's the only attention you know how to get.
Yeah, I can't wrap my head around it. And then I feel like there's certain people online who build their whole culture around this. Like I know that
Yeah.
I've gotten involved with certain people on Twitter in the last like few months, and in certain accounts that I see or that other people that I follow, they follow. So whenever they react to that person's stuff, it gets filtered through me. And I'm just like, there's like a certain section of people who I feel like their whole goal on some of these social media platforms is just to be controversial, just for the sake
Absolutely.
of getting, like
I
likes
need to
and
go
retweets and
viral.
comments. And
Yes.
yeah, it is just, it just feels so shallow. And a part of me is just like, what is going on that you
Why
think
do I have
that?
to be deep? It just has to look like something. I don't have to be deep. The Gorilla Glue girl, Tessica Brown, went viral. She got management like the week after. Like, I
Oh
just,
God.
listen, I just need to go viral, get a couple sponsors. Like, who is it? Where the money reside? I don't even know his name, but he's like sponsoring a beauty company.
Yeah.
Like, come on. I just need to go viral. So if I say something to you and my post, good, bad, or indifferent, but the negative post seems to be able to go viral faster than the positive ones.
That's true. That's true. And I think we were just talking about that earlier. Like the social media apps have definitely tailored it that way. I mean, I think all of us kind of knew that, but when that Facebook whistleblower came out recently and kind of
Mm-hmm.
cemented it, I think that was something like I guess the final wake up call for everyone else who just didn't already know that these apps are geared towards controversy and where they are
Absolutely.
actively trying to get people mad because they think that that'll keep you on the platform longer. I mean, yeah, social media for in so many different ways, whether we're talking about trolls or that, or we're talking about like people's shorter attention spans, it feels as though it's having an overall negative like detriment in people's lives. I mean, even so much so, which I think this was kind of a good thing, but it also shows that Instagram's kind of aware of what's going on, is that they now changed that they changed it so that you can hide your like and view counts because they know that how many people were getting upset when they had a post that didn't get as many likes or not as many views or something
Mm.
like that. And so now you can hide that, which I think is a good thing because people get way too wrapped up in how many like likes your post gets. I mean, I'm guilty of that myself. So I think that's an overall good thing. But I think that speaks a little bit more to Instagram, in and of itself. And again, Facebook,
Mm.
because they're like, hey, we know this is probably bad for your mental health. So let us help you out a little bit.
But I think about it on this aspect, right? If you had to do a one sheet where you show your ability to reach people
Yeah.
and how well your content is doing, hiding your likes and hiding your engagement could hinder you from having certain sponsors if they're looking for people who are hitting 200,000 and above. You know what I mean? Or like, oh, if you're hitting at least 2K, but if you can't show that your content is doing well, then I mean, and I don't know how that part of it works. I don't really get wrapped up in the going viral or whatever. I just put out what I feel like I would want to watch, and then once I put that out, I'm good. Essentially, like I'm not. I haven't been put in the mindset, and I think that's just because when I realize that it's like competition against other people,
Yeah.
I just stay in my own lane. Like, I'm not trying to, oh man, they're doing a podcast too. Well, their podcast has absolutely nothing to do with you. Oh, they're doing a business. Their business has absolutely nothing to do with you. Unless they have services that can help your business or you're able to help theirs, that has nothing to do with you. But so many people who it was, dang, I can't remember the guy's name, but he said, it's not enough for me to win, you have to lose. And I feel like a lot of people have
Oh
adopted
my
that
God.
mentality. And that's what it made people, and even being in quarantine, it made people reactionary.
Yeah.
I don't have to regulate my emotions when I'm online. I can feel fully what the thing is, right? So whether, oh my gosh, like this engagement video was so beautiful, he set it up real nice, she said yes, it was really beautiful, you got to see the whole thing, yada yada yada. But if you see something that's like racially motivated, right, or something that involves CPS, or if you see something that is whatever the thing is that irks your nerves, unclean house, or somebody talking bad about women, or somebody talking bad about men, or somebody talking bad about whatever, about even Dave Chappelle, right? He was another one. It was just like, oh, somebody talking bad about Dave Chappelle. Well, I'm on his team. Well, I'm not. Well, we can't be friends. And it's like, you cannot be so reactionary in your emotions that you
Yeah.
don't know how to regulate them. And I think social media plays a huge role in us not having to regulate them, because we get to be so reactionary with our likes, with our comments, because we don't have, there's no recourse. Something bad happens, okay, just delete the comment. Hope to God that nobody screenshotted it. And then if
Yeah.
they did do an apology video at 3 a.m, have puffy eyes, make sure your face is all pinkish, and then just be like, I haven't slept, in all these comments, and people just want to know. Nobody asked you anything. Nobody asked you anything. You did something you wasn't supposed to do. You got caught. Move on.
Yeah. I can't imagine ever having to put out a puffy-eyed apology video. Thankfully, I've never been put in that situation. I can't imagine what that would look like. But speaking of podcasts and businesses and so on and so forth, could you, as we're wrapping this up a little bit, could you just tell everyone what is coming up next with Take Up Space, with Champs of Discourse? What are you working on right now that people can go check out?
Oh, absolutely. And thank you again for this opportunity. So I realized over the break, because we took about a month off just to get reset, and because we were going, and then we were like, oh, we've done over like 60 episodes. Let's take a break and calm down just a little bit, see if we're going in the right direction. So right now we are doing a series-based podcast where we talk to, right now we're in the education, and I don't know when this is going to be out, but we're doing education, we're doing mental health, we're going to be doing business owners, real estate. We have multiple series that are coming up to, and I had to look up the plural series because I was saying it as series. But
Series.
series in and of itself is the plural already, and it's singular as well. And I'm just like, okay.
It's
So
like deer.
yeah, it's weird. Like,
Yeah.
okay? So we have multiple series coming up, and we're just talking to different people in their field, how they take up space, how they advocate for themselves and other people. I've had some really great conversations with different podcasters, different teachers, psychologists, real estate agents, investors, business owners. This has been such a really cool concept, and it's paying off even before we release all the episodes. So I'm super juiced about that. So please tune in to Take a Space podcast to listen to those episodes. We are about halfway through our education series at this point. And
Yeah.
so we've had some really good teachers on there. I'm really excited about the mental health series and the business owner series, those two that are coming out right after. For Champions of Discourse, we are also revamping a little bit. I used to do it as a teaching tool to help people learn how to effectively communicate. Being on social media, we can get used to yelling at each other and being hostile toward each other without really trying to understand each other.
Yep.
So I really wanted to help people think critically about the way they communicate and try to understand what things, like, did they really have an attitude, or did you hear somebody else's voice when they were talking? Because that's a big one. So now we're teaching people leaders and people coaches, business owners, how to effectively lead and motivate teams. So if you are a people manager, if you are a business owner, whether you have employees or not, it's important that you learn how to properly be disciplined, inspire, motivate, and assist your team in reaching whatever goals you have for your business. And that's
Okay.
Champions of Discourse.
Everyone, make sure to go check out Take Up Space Podcast and Champions of Discourse. I will have those links in the episode description. Leah, thank you again so much for coming on the podcast today. Really do
Absolutely.
appreciate it. Hope to get you back on next season.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, everyone, we're going to take one final break and then we'll be right back with my final thoughts of the day. Stay tuned.